So, hi, Mattias, and welcome to our podcast.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to finally speak to you. I know you have a very busy schedule, but you took some time to speak to us today, so we really appreciate that. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you so much.
yeah, of course. And maybe you could just start for those who aren't too familiar with you to introduce yourself, tell us a bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Mattias Falck, and I'm a professional table tennis player, playing Bundesliga for Werder Bremen and also for the Swedish national team. So that's my background, my sport.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And when did you first start playing? If we start like at the very beginning when you were a kid, when did you start playing table tennis and kind of why did you get into the sport?
I started in my first club when I was 7 years old, but I started because of my dad was playing, and we started even a little bit earlier, maybe when I was 4 years old. I had to follow him sometimes to his practice, so started really young.
Really young. Okay, okay. And did you play like other sports or was it just table tennis from the beginning?
I played football or soccer, however you call it, until I
Yeah.
was 14, something like that. Then I stopped and focused fully on table tennis, but I also tried a lot of other different sports, but it was mostly football and table tennis for me.
Okay, okay. So what was it then? Because I mean, you played football or soccer then for quite a long
Yeah.
time as well. What was it that made you choose table tennis over the other sports that you tried?
It was just that I like table tennis more than football. So and also I think because of my dad was playing, so it was easier for me to choose table tennis and continue to put my effort in there.
Into that. Yeah. So it was kind of an
Yeah.
easy choice then.
Yes, in the end it was.
Okay, okay. That makes sense, of course. And when did you know then that you wanted to become a professional table tennis player? Did you have a moment that you remember thinking like, okay, this is it, this is what I'm gonna do?
Yeah, it was around that age when I was 15. I liked it a lot, and I wanted to try to get more practices, more training during the week. And when I had two sports, it was hard to get that time to practice more table tennis. So that's why I stopped with the football to try to practice harder, practice more table tennis.
Okay, okay, to become a pro then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And did you know like from the beginning, like, okay, this is possible, I can make it, or do you remember one point where you were like, okay, this can actually happen, like it's gonna happen, I'm gonna become a professional?
Hard question to know
Yeah.
exactly, but I was dedicated to do my best and try with everything I had to become a professional player. But of course, it was also difficult times. But when I was young, I was quite successful in the juniors in Sweden, so I got off to a good start.
Okay, okay. So it kind of came along the way. I can imagine it's difficult to know exactly when you knew, but yeah, when you start getting better and better, I guess you can see it kind of more clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's still a long way to. It's also a little bit how you define professional player, and the goals for everyone is a little bit different. But I was always trying to become a top world class player also. So this is
Yeah,
yeah,
difficult.
yeah, absolutely. It's also hard to say exactly when.
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. No, that makes sense for sure. And how was it then? I mean, growing up, like at that time when you decided that you were gonna do your very best to become a top player. How was it in Sweden to grow up and want to become a professional table tennis player?
When I was really young was, I would say, it's normal. But when I changed, when I was 16, started gymnasium,
Mm-hmm.
I chose to go for a table tennis gymnasium so I could get more practices in, and that helped me a lot with to manage both the school and to practice hard. But
Okay.
it was some sacrifices with friends and everything. But I was lucky to meet my wife when we were young.
Okay, okay. So you did have the chance then to at least, combine school and table tennis at quite an early age after all.
Yeah, absolutely. From 16 and even earlier, but really from 16 I could combine it really well, and I went also for the gymnasium for 4 years instead of 3 years to get more time for practices and be able to have more time.
Okay, okay. And I was going to say as well, in 2008, so that was kind of around the same time when you were in high school, you made your first international breakthrough when you won 3 World Junior tournaments. So what was that like when you kind of entered the international stage of table tennis for the first time?
It's also always a little bit different to play for the national team for the first times, and I felt, of course, proud to be able to compete for Sweden, and it felt also good to win these titles in the juniors tournaments, and I was just happy that everything was working out really well.
Yeah, and was this the first time as well that you were kind of traveling internationally to competitions rather than just competing within Sweden?
Yeah, it was I started around that 2007 maybe. I was for the first tournament in Europe then, but yes.
Okay. And that was with the national team then. So you always traveled as a team, or did you ever have to like kind of travel internationally to play by yourself, or you've always been with other people?
If I'm traveling alone, I've been always traveling with my coach. So, but as a player, I could go to tournaments alone. But I always try to bring one coach because it's quite hard to be alone at tournaments. And even now, when I'm a bit older, I like to have someone with me.
Yeah, of course I can imagine. So you always have someone then, yeah, before, but also today, someone with you who can, support you and help you throughout the travel and the competition.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I mean, after that, obviously, you've been through a lot of different things in your career. In 2016, you competed at the Olympic Games for the first time at the Rio Olympics. Was that a dream come true to get to be at and to compete at the Olympics?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been dreaming about to be a part of the Olympic Games as a really small kid, so it was a huge deal for me to be able to compete there and also make the Swedish team.
Yeah, of course. And did you feel, after making the team, did you feel like extra nervous? Did you feel pressure? Like, did you have a lot of new feelings that you dealt with going into that tournament or?
Of course, I had a little bit more feelings, a little bit more nervous than usual, but it's quite a big thing, and because it's only every fourth year, and all the media and everything is yeah, it's a little bit more pressure when there's so much focus on this tournament, but in the end it went quite good anyway.
Okay, so you managed to deal with that in in some ways to at
Yeah,
least, stay calm during that time. Because I
yeah,
can
yeah,
imagine, like you say, it's a lot more media maybe than what you're used to like before. And yeah, it's a big tournament because it's only like every 4 years. So I can imagine that was a lot of new things though that you had to face kind of.
yeah, yes, absolutely. But it was good. We were there. I only played the team event for the table tennis and not the singles event. And the singles started, so I had like 12 days in the village before I started. So it was a bit too long, but it was also good to get familiar with all the new things and the village and everything.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that was actually something I wanted to ask too, because how was the atmosphere? It must be special with all the different athletes there and everything. So how was like the overall experience, like the atmosphere of being in the Olympic Village and at the Olympics?
It was good. The atmosphere was good. Of course, there was different times for every athlete. Some are competing during this day or the next 2 days, and some for like me were there for many days before the competition. So everyone was, uh, some was nervous and some was more happy. But overall, it was very good and a very good experience.
Okay, okay. And what would you say, like looking back at it maybe now, what were the things that you kind of like took away with you from this experience? Like what did you learn and do you feel like it kind of impacted you or made you grow in a certain way at that point in your career?
Um, the things I can take with me is how like Olympic Games is working.
Hmm.
Hopefully, will be a new one this summer in Tokyo. So it's always good to have been playing one, and so you know how everything is working inside the village, what is there, and what you can think about, and everything. And for the competition there, Normally it's a lot of spectators also, so it's a little bit different to play there, but it's good to have played there one time, so you know everything, and that is what the most important thing that I will take with me.
Yeah, so like going into the next ones, like you said, hopefully this summer in Tokyo, you will be more like prepared, knowing what to expect and everything like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned before a bit as well, like you've been representing Sweden for quite some time now. What does it mean to you to be able to still today represent, Sweden at the highest level when you compete internationally?
It means a lot to me. I'm of course very proud to represent Sweden in the big championships and play for Sweden. It's always been a dream since I was a little kid to play for Sweden. So I'm very happy to still be able to do that.
Yeah, still do that today. That's awesome. Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously something that I wanted to talk to you about is your silver medal at the World Championships in Budapest in 2019. I know this is obviously, your biggest individual achievement so far in your career. You became the first Swede in 22 years to reach the World Championship final. And like I said, this is just an incredible achievement. And I know you were getting a lot of things with the media in Sweden and everything, and not even in Sweden only, but in other countries as well. So what did it feel for you to actually, experience this, to achieve this, to leave the World Championships, with a silver medal?
It was, as you said, it was so far my biggest achievements in sports so far, and I was really happy. Of course, when I lost the final, I was very disappointed for the first 2 days, but overall, I made a fantastic tournament, and I'm really happy how I played through the whole tournament. And as you said, there was a lot of attention from the media back home, and a little bit new situation for me. Table tennis is not getting that much media attention, so it was a little bit new things to handle. But I'm really happy both for the achievements I made, and also that table tennis got more attention in media. It's important for us to be able to be seen a little bit more, to grow even more, to get more players in Sweden.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw, like, speaking of that, I saw that when you came home to the city where you live in Sweden, you actually had like a lot of people, like thousands of people welcoming you home and everything. So what was that like?
Yeah, it was big. It was really nice, and I was not expecting that, so I was really happy for that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Must be something different as well. I mean, that doesn't happen every time. So, like I said, yeah, you got a lot of attention in Sweden specifically after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really happy for that, and a bit surprised.
A bit surprised.
Yeah, of course, it was nice. I was not expecting that, so it was really nice.
Okay, that makes sense, of course. And apart from, the World Championship silver medal that you have, there's also a lot of other things that you've accomplished that I haven't mentioned. And I'm not going to go through like one by one because there's a lot of different ones, but I'll try to just summarize it a bit. So aside from that, you've also won 3 silver and 3 bronze medals at the European Championships and a silver medal at the European Games, playing mixed and team events. And also following, your performance at the World Championships, you received Performance of the Year award at the 2019 Swedish Sports Gala. So yeah, there's a lot of different things, and you've been very successful. You accomplished a lot of things. But I wanted to ask you what the word success means to you. Like, when you look at all of these things, what is it that, make you feel as if you're successful? Like, how would you define the word success? Is it these achievements? Is it, doing what you love?
This is a hard question.
Yeah.
For me, successful is I need all the puzzles in my life to be in the best way, both my table tennis and also my how to say, the life back home. Every puzzle pieces need to be in the right place for me to feel happy and also successful. So it's not only for the table tennis part that is important for me.
Okay, so it's more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I learned during the years that it's also very important to feel happy, or to be as happy as you can with every part of the life, to be able to play good in my sport also.
Okay, okay, absolutely. And looking at all of these things that you achieved so far and all the things that you've experienced up until this point in your career, do you have like a favorite memory, like a favorite, a favorite memory from what happened, like something throughout your career?
I would go with the final of World Championship, even though
Okay.
I lost the final. But this moment was very big for me. I've always been dreaming to play in the big finals, to be able to play this one match for the gold medal. So everything around it was really big for me to experience, and to go into the court with a lot of spectators around it to cheer for me when I was entering the court or the field of play was really big moment.
Okay, yeah. So I can imagine it's difficult to pick one. I mean, you've been through a lot of different things, but that makes sense. That's a big moment and very special. And like you said in the beginning as well, today you play internationally. You represent Sweden, still the national team, and you also play in Bundesliga in Germany. And I know that before that you also played for Pontoise in France. So what made you, leave the Swedish league and go play in France in 2018?
To get tougher matches, better opponents, to yeah to get better matches, so I could get how to say get better opportunities to be a better table tennis player. If I play matches against better players, I need to adapt to that level, and it's also it's a good experience to go outside Sweden to a new country, to a new club, and feeling the pressure that they are taking you there to play good and represent their club.
Yeah, okay. So have you always known then that at one point in your career you wanted to go abroad to play?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I would say, Germany and France are the two toughest leagues in Europe. So I was always trying to get into those leagues.
Okay, okay. And like you said, I mean, obviously there's the competition side of things, like having tougher matches, but aside from that, like you also have to, experience new things such as a new culture, meeting new people, like a new language. How did you deal with that? Was that like a difficult thing to adapt to?
The languages in France is was tough for me.
Yeah,
It's a hard language to learn, so I
yeah.
didn't learn so much for my 2 seasons there. But of course, as you said, the culture and everything is a bit different. And for the first times you come there, you don't know really how everything works, and how you should behave, and everything. So it was a good experience, and to to see new things, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you say that by doing that, you have grown as a person and also as a player? Like you've learned a lot of new things from moving abroad and playing, regularly, yeah, in another country.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good step to take, both for the table tennis, also personality.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned a bit earlier that you said that you had to make some sacrifices growing up, like not maybe hanging out with friends, things like that. And of course, being where you are today, being a professional table tennis player, which involves, a lot of traveling, a lot of tournaments, yeah, all year around,
Yeah,
worldwide. What would you say are some, or yeah, maybe one of the biggest sacrifices that you've had to make to get to the point where you are today?
hard, but of course, table tennis, or my table tennis is taking a lot of time. So when I was younger, even still today, I have to put a lot of hours in the practice hall. And also, as you said, I'm traveling a lot. During a normal year, I have, I don't know, 220 days abroad,
Yeah.
traveling for league matches and competitions. So of course that's tough for the personal life. But as I mentioned a little bit before, I think I was lucky to met my wife when we were really young. So she been part of the journey all the way. So it's easier that way, I think, at least.
Yeah, she's been through it, like through it all with you from the beginning rather than, like when you're already
Yeah,
doing all of this. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I heard in another podcast as well, and like you said earlier, that this, work life balance is super important for you. And like you said, like being happy, yeah, despite maybe all of these challenges of traveling a lot and everything. So how do you manage then to find that balance right now, still being, on the road traveling for so many days during the year?
It's always hard, but when I'm home, I try to make the most out of it all the time, to be able to spend the time with my family and the closest one to me, and yeah, trying to fix the time so I can practice twice and even have the time to spend quality time with the family.
Yeah, and do you think this has become like easier throughout the years? Like, is it easier now to know how to manage this?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. You'll get older, you learn more, and I've been away for, I don't know, too many years to remember even, of all the travelings. You get used to it, and you get to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I can imagine that. And I know as well you became a dad not too long ago, if you say so, or yeah, a while
Yeah.
ago now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I did.
exactly. And well, first of all, congratulations still to that. But
Thank you.
yeah, of course. And do you think that becoming a dad, is that something that has maybe changed your approach and your perspective as well when it comes to, the traveling and the sport in general?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of probably the biggest thing you can become in the life, to be a father. So of course it changed a little bit. So, but it was a big moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that. That's amazing, really. And yeah, we spoke a bit about like you said, now you had to make some sacrifices, like maybe some tough choices, being away from your family and everything. Yeah, competing and looking at challenges. I mean, what would you say has been the biggest challenge or like tough moment that you had to overcome?
Um, I would say I had maybe 2 years of when I was around 20, 19, 20. I still
Mm-hmm.
had I say good curve, getting better all the time, and then after the gymnasium I finished, I moved to Halmstad, where I live today, to try to take the next step. But I had two really tough years with not getting better as I wanted, and started to play a little bit bad. So I was there. I had some challenges and some tough years to handle.
And at that point, did you ever think about like giving up table tennis and doing something else, or were you always just focused on making it through?
Yeah, I was focusing on making it through, but of course it was some days was absolutely tougher than other days. But I was still focused on getting through and keep fighting, and I had a good support from my wife and my coaches. So I was focusing on just getting through it and keep fighting.
Okay, okay. And aside then from that support from your wife and from your coaches, what else is it that still motivates you today? Despite maybe tough moments, defeats, or things that might get to you. I mean, what is it that still motivates you to keep going and keep practicing and traveling and competing every day?
I always had big dreams. Since I was a little kid, to win an Olympic medal. So this is one of my biggest goals, and this is motivate me a lot, and helps me traveling, and helps me to have something to focus on when I'm away from home to compete.
Okay, so it's still the same goal that you
Yes,
had when you were a kid.
yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
awesome. That's awesome, really. So you're chasing the same thing.
Yes.
And yeah, when you were a kid and when you were growing up, did you have like a person, or aside from, the Olympic medal that you want to win, did you have like a person that inspired you or motivated you to become better? You mentioned your dad before introducing you to the sport.
Yeah, I would say I was lucky to grow up this period, because Sweden was really strong in table tennis. We had both Jan-Ove Waldner and Jürgen Persson that I was looking at a lot, and
Hmm.
I got many chances to see them in the big matches, the big finals I was speaking about, to see this, to dream about this. So I had these two person, and I looked a lot of matches from them.
Okay, so those were people that were kind of inspiring you to, yeah, to
Yeah,
train and to
exactly.
get better as a kid. Okay,
Exactly.
and that's super cool as well because I know that was yeah, Waldner that you mentioned, that was the guy who went to the final before you at the World Championships, but that was 22 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That must be so cool as well, you know, being the person after him to do that when you looked up to him as a kid.
Yeah, it was big for me. It hasn't been so many Swedes who's making the final World Championship. I think there's only been 6 through the whole history of World Championships. It was really big for me to be one of these guys.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And it's super cool. I mean, me being Swedish as well, of course, I always root for, you know, the Swedish
Yeah,
athletes. So it's super cool to see you do that for sure.
thank you.
Absolutely. And looking as well at like the mental part that comes with being a professional athlete, more specifically for table tennis, how important would you say that having the right mindset and being able to, you know, control your mind and your mentality is?
Yeah, and of course it's very important. It's a big part of table tennis, in my opinion, in every sport. It comes to a lot of close moments in the matches, and you need to be able to control your feelings and your nerves, and the the mental part is really important.
Yeah, and how have you been able to, you know, get to a point where you feel like you have a strong mindset, yeah, day to day, like in practicing competition? Do you have like a mental coach or someone that you worked with to get to that point?
Yeah, I had some different coaches for mental parts during my career, so it helped me a lot. Also from the I started quite young through the Swedish Olympic Committee to get like a basic education that I think helped me a lot to get something to stand on even when I was 16. And then I worked with some others also now when I'm older.
Okay, so you started quite early already with that mental part of it as well, then. And you said before, like going into the Olympics, obviously you were a bit nervous, like there was a bit of pressure, maybe representing Sweden internationally. But do you encounter those types of emotions, like during other times in your career as well, during competitions, like I don't know, pressure or being nervous, like maybe self doubt sometimes? And how do you deal with these type of emotions going into a big tournament?
Um, I'm just trying to focus on the match that I'm gonna play, and try to be present with the mind, trying to focus on the ball, how to play, what I can do next, and I always try to remember to breathe and don't stress playing during the balls. You can take it a little bit slower sometimes also to get the pulse down if it's high.
Okay, yeah, taking it slow. And I was gonna say as well, because obviously when you play, it's nothing, you know, I mean, it's not slow at all, it's super
Yeah,
fast, but just trying to prepare maybe slower before going into that fast game.
yeah, absolutely. It goes fast in table tennis, and also during the rallies, it's really fast. So sometimes when the nerves are coming closer, it's good to take it a little bit slower and just try to focus on the next ball and what you can control and what you can do.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And also, I understand, I mean, I'm not a table tennis expert, but I understand that you have a rather unique style of play compared to many other players. When did you realize that the way that you played was a bit like different from other players that you were facing?
It's correct. It's because of the material that is on the racket. And my coach, when I was 14, he said that this style would suit me better, so I gave it a try, and it worked really well for me from the beginning. So I'm I'm really happy for that, because it's because of my coaches back then that I'm playing the way I'm doing today.
Yeah, and did you ever then, I mean, being so young and adapting that kind of different style, did you ever, you know, feel like, okay, maybe I should be doing what other people are doing because I'm the only one doing it this way? Or was it something that brought you some maybe self-doubt at times as well?
Actually, not. I was never ever thinking of changing back to the, how to say, like the normal way that everyone else is playing. I like the way I played, and even when I was having some tough times, I never thought about that.
Okay, because how do you then, I mean, I imagine maybe some people are listening to this podcast or other people that are, within sports and they are kind of, doing their own thing, but they are struggling at times to accept it and actually, just be true to themselves and stick to their thing. So what would be kind of your advice to build confidence and being confident in doing your own thing and not just trying to be like everyone else?
Yeah, first of all, I would say it's a really good thing to be doing something unique and not being doing exactly what everyone else is doing. It's in the most ways very good to go your own way and just keep focus and believe in yourself. This is very important. If you feel it's the right way to go, you should go this way. And even if someone else is saying maybe you should go the other way, but you should trust yourself in that and continue on your road.
Yeah, you're the one who knows the best yourself
Yeah,
what to do.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great, really. And after spending so much time, throughout your life playing table tennis, what impact would you say that the sport has had on your life, like outside of table tennis as well? What has it taught you about life, about everything?
Um, it taught me that you always need to fight whatever you want to do. It's not coming served to you. You always need to fight for it and try to get the things you want. And it's also I'm lucky I get to travel around the world to see a lot of different culture, different countries. So could learn a lot from that. Everyone is living a little bit different through around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. That must be a really cool part of it, being able to, like you said, travel to different countries, meeting different people, seeing the cultures, everything like that.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm really happy to be able to, of course, play my sport on this level, and also to see a lot of different countries.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. And now, playing for so long, and like we said before, being a dad as well today, how important do you think it is that kids get the opportunity to play sports, whether it's table tennis or something else growing up?
I think it's very important. It's good for everyone to move and do something with the body. So sports is also good to get how to say some new friends, maybe a new community you can hang out with to have something to do. Sports is really good for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's like you said, you had that dream since you were a kid. It started somewhere, and when you got introduced to sports, that gave you a lot. And yeah, like you said, get to travel
Yeah,
the world and do what you love today. So
yeah, absolutely. And even if you doesn't have the same dreams as I did as a kid, it's always fun to get new friends, hang out with your friends, practice a little bit sports. Just hang out with your friends, doing something.
absolutely, you get something out of it, even if you don't get to that level. In
Yeah,
the end,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. And talking about like kids and everything like that, do you see yourself as a role model today, someone who can inspire, young kids to play table tennis or to play sports in general?
So yeah, yes and no.
Okay.
It's a bit different that I'm used to, like to be the role model like I had when I was growing up. Maybe I am for some kids, so that's really huge. And yeah, I try to be who I am and inspire them, like we spoke also to go your own way.
Yeah, and maybe that's a bit different. Like you said, it's maybe not easy to think of yourself as a role model, but in fact, I mean, I know already with everything that you achieved and all the attention that you've gotten after what you've done, obviously a lot more kids have seen you, and I'm sure they are inspired by, what you're doing and want to become like you, just like you looked at those other players when you were a kid. So
Yeah, it's a nice feeling, and as you said, it's a little bit different and a bit hard to see yourself as a role model.
yeah, of course I can imagine that. And also, you said, with your attention after the World Championships, it was also a good thing for table tennis in general and for table tennis in Sweden. I mean, do you think that you can contribute, like with your continued success, that you can contribute more to table tennis growing in Sweden? I mean, in what ways do you hope that you can contribute and grow the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope if I'm playing good international, if I'm winning some medals, we get more attention. The sports is getting more attention, so that's always very positive. I think it's important to be seen in the news, in podcasts, in TVs, and in everywhere. So I try to represent both me and the sport table tennis as much as I can and have time for.
Yeah, for sure. And where do you hope to see the sport? I mean, if you can look into the future, I mean, what do you hope for Swedish table tennis in the future?
I just hope we continue to be better and stronger as a nation. We had some really good years 5 to 8 years back. We started to win medals again in the championship. So I just hope we continue to improve everyone and we become one of the best nations to compete against China, who are the best one right now.
Yeah, okay. That's awesome for sure. I mean, hope that that's gonna happen. It
Yes,
will be cool to, yeah, but cool to follow along and see what you do and hopefully see, yeah, table tennis grow as well.
yes, I hope that.
Yeah, for sure. And going back to kind of where you are today, I mean, we spoke about that a bit in the beginning, just you and me. When I say hi, like it's
Yeah.
a bit weird year. We're obviously, speaking right now over link, but it's been different and difficult for everyone with COVID-19 and everything going on, like this situation. I know that the table tennis league had, I think it was 246 days of a break this year. So what has that been like for you, like 2020?
Yeah, of course, as you said, it's been a really strange year, tough year for everyone. And for me, as the sports, as you said, was 200, almost 250 days without any international competition. That was something new, you could say. Where I was lucky that the Bundesliga was continued to played and also started as expected, even though it is this situation in the world. So, but it's been hard and been very different year.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, for all sports, it's been very different, and especially with the Olympics that were supposed to be 2020 as well, that got delayed. Were you able though to get like any positives out of that? Did you manage to maybe have more time with your family, more time at home?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been home for a lot of time this year, so
Mhm.
I'm really happy for that. And I got many months that I could stay home that I never could had got if it was a normal year. So that's the positive thing for me, that I got a lot of time being back home and in Halmstad, and also was good that I could practice a little bit more. As you also mentioned in the beginning, we have a season from January to December international with competitions throughout the whole year, so it's hard to find time for good like a pre-season practice. So it was also a good part that I could focus a little bit more on my physical strength and condition.
Okay, so typically it's more like you don't really have time for just practice in between if you want to work on specific things. It's more competition, like back to back a bit more.
Yeah, yes, you could say we don't have like 1, 2, 3 months with only practices because of all the tournaments we have, and also the league matches is going from around September to April, May. So we have constantly new tournaments and new matches we need to prepare for. So this was also a positive thing to get more time for practice.
Okay, a bit different, but at least something good came out of it after all.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You always need to find the good parts and the positive things with it. So it's not easy, but you have to try.
For sure, I can imagine a lot of people are thinking the exact same thing because after this year it's been difficult, but you need to find some positives in it because it's been a long period of time for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
And looking now then at the future, I mean, obviously, like we spoke about, we have the Olympics coming up in Tokyo this summer. So I'm thinking the Olympic medal is still that goal that you're chasing for this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I will do my best there, and hopefully we will have an Olympic Games this summer. So I will chase that dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you already qualified like as a team for the Olympics as well with Sweden. How does that work with everything? Like, Will you play in both single events, like team events? How does it work? Do you have to do new qualification because it's delayed, or is it the same?
It's the same. We have a bit different system every year for qualification, but
Okay.
we were lucky to have our team qualification event in January before everything with COVID-19 started in Europe then. So if we were, as we did, a qualified team, Sweden also got 2 places in the single event, and I was already nominated by the Olympic Committee to play both single and team. So that's also a good feeling. I don't need to qualify. I'm already qualified for both events, so I'm happy for that.
That's good. So you can just focus on preparing and everything like that throughout the months leading up to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's also easier if you have a qualification that maybe will be played quite close to the Olympics. You need to be in a really good shape there also. So it's good to be able to fully prepare for Olympics this summer.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, aside from the Olympics that are right now, I mean, what are some of your other goals for maybe more like the long term?
I was just trying to improve myself as a player and climb higher on the world ranking. It would be cool to be the highest ranked player sometime during my career. So I will just try to keep focus on my practice and improve as a player.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that because you're ranked number 8 right now in the world, and the highest ranking you've had is 7. So is that something that's important to you then, to climb that ranking, and something you're looking to do in the future?
Yeah, it's of course would be cool to be ranked number 1 in the world sometimes during my career, but it's not that important. I'm trying to focus on myself and my own how to say, my own level of playing. I always try to improve my parts, both the good and the bad parts, always to become a better table tennis player.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the ranking as well, it kind of comes with that. If you're performing well and if you're improving, it should come to the side of that.
Yeah, it should come hand in hand, but hopefully it will does.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, maybe this is a weird question as well, because obviously you're in the middle of your career and I know you're very focused on that right now, but have you ever thought at all about like what you would like to do whenever you retire from table tennis, or like if you were to do something different?
And I have no idea yet.
Okay.
We will see what time will bring for that, but I have no idea. I got some questions from the closest one. They're asking me what I want to do after I stop playing, but at the moment I have no idea, so we will see.
Yeah, I can imagine that's difficult to answer. Maybe you're very focused on what you're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly, and then hopefully I can play on my highest level for 8 to 10 more years. So it's still some time to figure that out.
Of course, you have some time, like you said, to figure it out, so that's good.
Yeah.
But aside from like table tennis, when you do have some time off, what are some other things that you like to do?
Yeah, of course, as I said before, I try to spend as much time as possible with my family. And if I'm away, I always been playing a lot of PlayStation since I was young, so I bring it sometimes with me to play, and watching some TV shows and movies to relax the mind.
Okay, that's cool. And then if you're watching some shows and stuff, what is like the last thing that you watched that you were really inspired by? Maybe something that we should check out as well.
Inspired by, I don't know, I would say the last TV show I saw, I've finished now in China, was La Casa de Papel, a bit late compared to the rest of the world, but it was time I saw it.
Yeah, okay. And one question that I wanted to ask too, that we always ask everyone, is, this podcast is really about sharing different stories and show that everyone has, their unique journey to get to where they are today. So for those who are listening, who have big dreams and don't really know maybe how to get there, what advice would you like to give them?
If I'm just thinking about sports as this is all about, it's a long way to go. It's many hours practicing, studying mental parts, physical parts also. So I would say don't forget to have fun during the practice, especially though that you are like 5-6 hours, at least I am, in the hall every day. Also from some physical parts, it's also good to enjoy the time, make some fun exercises, laugh with your friends, do some some fun things. It's important to be to how to say, like, to have the power to get through all of the time you need.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that's great. Really awesome. And if anybody wants to follow you, like your continued career, everything that you do, what's the best place to do so? Is that Instagram?
Yes, I would say on Instagram. That's the place where I'm most active. So there you can follow my journey and some practice videos and what's going on in my life.
Okay, perfect. We're gonna put that link as well in the description so people can check it out and follow you there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for taking the time to to speak with us. Like I said, you have a busy schedule, so we really appreciate it. And it's been great hearing more about you and everything you've been through. So best of luck. We look forward to following you.
Thank you so much, and my pleasure to be part of your podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much.